started.
Okay, yes, indeed, we are here. The First Class, Second Place podcast. So I know my voice sounds a little different than what you're used to. You're used to a super smooth male voice, but he's still here. You heard him chuckling in the background, right? Jason Enrique, he's here. He gave me the opportunity to sit here and put him in the hot seat instead and ask him a couple questions that we want to hear the answers about. And you guys get to learn more about him.
Absolutely.
Same way with me, because I don't really feel like I know that much about you.
Yeah, well, you're about to find out. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, but first and foremost, before we get started, I wanted to say thank you for coming on the show, and also welcome back to all of my fans. The show is officially back, giving an opportunity to somebody that I think is talented and has what it takes to make it in this game. So without further ado, let's take it away.
Thank you so much, and I'm going to say thank you to you for that. A lot of people don't extend that hand so readily and easily, so you really were. I just came to you with, my thoughts, and you said, "Hey, let's try this out." So
yeah, absolutely.
Super grateful to you for that.
Yeah, anytime.
All right. So I know you ask your guests this a lot, but what is your Jersey story?
Okay, so the beginning of my Jersey story, I was born in Teaneck, New Jersey, at a Holy Name Hospital.
Okay.
And I've actually bounced around a lot in Jersey growing up. Like I first started off in Hackensack. Ironically, the street that I live in now is actually a block away from where I lived as a baby. So I thought that was pretty serendipitous when I moved into this apartment. Yeah. So it was in Hackensack, and then moved around from like Paramus and Hawthorne and Totowa and, a couple other places. But I feel like I gravitated more towards Hawthorne because that's the majority of where I spent a lot of my weekends with my dad, especially at the park on Goffelbrook Park. And
know that park well.
Yeah, that's my number one spot that I go to clear my head and everything. And also it kind of helped me grow up as a man and, figure out who I was, especially in my adult life. But I also spent some time in Florida from age 11 to 18.
So what was the whole moving around type thing?
I really don't know. I mean, if I could ask my father, who's no longer with us, I would ask him. But it was just a lot of moving around and like just, trying different places. We did have a house in Paramus at one point. That was like the crux of my childhood. Mm-hmm. And then he, after my parents divorced, he actually went jumping around from Fair Lawn and Hawthorne and Wallington and so on and so forth. So when I graduated high school in Florida and I came back up here to Jersey, that's where I moved around a lot with him. But I like to say that Hawthorne is the place that, like I said, it really grew me into the person that I am and who I was going to become. And I also like the fact that it was right in the middle of like getting to the best of both worlds. Like on one side you have Patterson and then you have Ridgewood on the other side.
Yes,
so
yes.
I feel like I was able to find the middle gray area, and that's who I am at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm always in those areas because my gym is right there in Patterson, but if I cross the bridge, Hawthorne, friends live there, and then I go, restaurants and whatnot to Ridgewood. So it's like that middle ground.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll say that Hawthorne is specifically like your anchor.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's probably the best term to describe it.
Your anchor. Yeah, I like that. And tell me I know we spoke about it a little bit as far as your beginnings with the podcast idea. Like what drew you to it, what you wanted to do, what motivated you to start it?
Well, I started it because I always had an affinity for radio. And this actually goes back to where when I was working in Hawthorne, not just living in Hawthorne, but also working, I was a delivery driver, and I was listening to the radio a lot. Like I was constantly listening to it. It was like the only form of entertainment that I had, to the point where it became my actual go-to entertainment.
What shift was it? Because I know this is really important.
Right. Shift as far as what? As
far as like when you worked, was it morning? Because mornings usually talk radio.
It was like a regular 9 to 5. I feel like I was able to watch the morning, listen to the morning, midday, and afternoons. I didn't catch anything in the evening unless I would do these part-time jobs where I was working at night.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why I asked that is just because I think even for me, same thing. I really enjoyed growing up listening to the radio, and I always had an affinity for.
Media.
This is something like I would like to do, right?
Right.
But radio was always drawn to me because I think I remembered mostly going to school
Right.
And, the ride there, and I'm listening to whatever morning show is on.
Okay.
Yeah. And you get the most talk, I guess, in the morning.
Yeah, because in the morning on your way to work, they're not just playing music. They're trying to put on a show for you.
Definitely.
That's why they always come up with different topics and subjects and so on and so forth. And then they'll add the music in there as kind of like to fill in the gaps.
And I think that's just like the routine. And I think people become accustomed to expecting certain things in the morning. That's why they have the programming the way that is. So, and then throughout the day, I guess it was the characters.
Right. And also, I'm a huge sports fan, so I was also listening to a lot of sports radio, and that's basically no music at all.
All day long.
Yeah, there's just talking and taking phone calls and so on and so forth.
You're talking to a girl that her dad was a huge sports fanatic, so I kind of had to listen to all of it. And
okay.
So basketball, baseball, football,
of WFN,
all of it.
Mike and the Mad Dog.
Yep. All of that. Now, could I tell you about it? No, but it's just like that's background noise for me, so it's okay.
Got you. Yeah, and I think it was for a lot of people that didn't necessarily have an affinity for radio or in media. I just feel like for me, it kind of gravitated towards me in the beginning as a kid, not fully, but it was something that was able to connect me and my dad because he was a big sports guy. And, sometimes I would listen to Mike and the Mad Dog just because I know he enjoyed listening to it. And that's how I kind of got into it. And also at this time, the Yankees were unstoppable. And I was a big Yankee fan. I still am, but that was exciting to...
Secret. I'm a Mets fan.
I know.
You won't hold that against me.
Not at all, as long as you don't hold the fact that I'm a Jets fan.
No, I'm a Jets fan too.
Oh, okay.
So see, my dad was a Jets fan, so I'll take it. Like,
Okay.
I'm a local team fan, and I'm not a Yankee hater. So let me clarify that for anyone.
And I also want to clarify too that I don't hate the Mets. Like I actually told this to one of my boys that's a Mets fan. Like I really truly hope that sooner or later you guys win a championship because
That felt like a little bit like a slight right there.
No. I genuinely do hope that because like I know what it's like to not feel like it. And some of the best people that I know in the world are Mets fans, and
First class, second place.
Yes.
That's the Mets. Like if you're a Mets fan, that's how you feel all the time.
I'm actually glad that you said that because it's kind of along the lines of why I called that. There's a lot of different variations why I call my show First Class, Second Place. And one of them just happens to be that kind of like a sports franchise. I guess the San Antonio Spurs is a good one. Like they're a first class organization. They seem to know how to do everything. They know how to win championships and this and that and the third, but they're not as big as or as known as like the Lakers or the Knicks or whatever,
Right.
So they, I guess they're a first class organization, but they look at below as like the popular teams.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. Moving on from there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that you and I actually had to have this conversation with you because I don't think you remembered, but we were kind of talking about how we met, and I reminded you that we met through yoga.
Yes, I do remember that.
And you're like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually met through friends of friends, right?
Yeah, it's a small world here in Jersey. It
Definitely
really is.
small. And then you practiced at the studio where I practiced at, and that's actually where I also trained at. Disclaimer, I didn't tell anybody this. I'm also a yoga instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Where
can they find you on social media?
Social media, for my yoga page, you can find me at Mercedes, MERCEDES, Rolon, ROLON _. I used to strictly just post yoga content on there.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to separate my life, a little bit.
Of course.
Certain things like, private stuff and business stuff. But I kind of moved away from there. There used to be yoga behind my name before, and I took that off because I moved forward. I'm kind of like more involved in fitness as well. And I just feel that I'm a multifaceted individual. So there's so much more to me than just the yoga portion. And I also can take my business as far as yoga and do other things like workshops, and there's things that I offer yearly, like say a vision board workshop I always do in the beginning of the year. So I just don't want it to be misleading. I want people to understand that I'm not always going to sit there and go take those pretty yoga photos in the park or the beach or wherever they may be. You're not going to see me hanging off a cliff doing something crazy.
Wow.
But I mean, you might. It depends if I'm inspired to do it. But there's just a lot to me, and I feel like I want to share that a little bit more with the world.
Okay.
Hence this.
There you go.
This project.
Yeah, and I believe personally that there's more to you than just meets the eye, and I tell this with everybody that comes on my show. So I don't bring anybody on my show unless I actually truly believe in what they are, who they are, and what they do. So that should say volumes as to why I actually not only have you on the show, but also as you my very first guest host.
I feel so honored. Like right now, it's just like I did not strong arm him. I promise, I did not strong arm him.
No, I'll take full credit. This is like I came up with the idea.
It was,
but like it wouldn't be executed without you. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and I think I want to take it back to one of your episodes that somebody asked you a question, and I think it was a show that you were actually on, that you were a guest on, and you mentioned that you got tired of saying you wanted to do things and you didn't do them. So for me, today, I'm getting to do one of the things that are on my list. So that just kind of makes me feel so happy. And that's like pushing me forward. Like, am I nervous? Sure. Do I have anxiety? Sure. It's my first actual podcast, like doing things like this, but I really enjoy it. And being able to do something I said I wanted to do, it really has made my whole entire Saturday. So like I'm bouncing off the walls right now.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. And this is pretty exciting. I actually feel the energy and it's going good.
Yeah. Thank you. I also was having, because I had to do homework, right?
Oh, you're doing a little bit of research. Okay.
I have to do research. And obviously,
appreciate that, yeah.
Well, you being the person that's given me the opportunity, I definitely had to go back through some of your podcasts and listen through some of the interviews. And I did actually, something really resonated with me. I believe it was your last one that was on July 21st.
Okay.
I don't remember the guest's name. I'm sorry.
I think it was Ron West of the Say a Word podcast.
Yes. Okay. And I really like the fact that you guys discussed when you were younger, you had these aspirations, you had these dreams, you had these goals and things you wanted to do. And maybe because of our upbringing and, being Latino backgrounds or, being a minority or something like that, our parents, not that they discouraged our dreams, right?
Right, no.
But they kind of would be like, yeah, that's cool, but...
There's always a but.
There's always a but, pero that's not gonna pay the bills, right?
Right.
So unless unless you have parents that are in a creative field or like an artist, a musician, or somebody who's already like in this, or they have friends or they understand the nature of businesses like that, I don't think you get encouraged as much to be like what your friend said, Ron, to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be those things. And it's like, mommy, yo no voy a ser doctora. Like, it's not going to work out. Like, I suck at science, so that's not going to work out. Like, you don't want me to be a doctor.
I can never be a chemist because I couldn't even figure out algebra for the life of me.
So fun fact, growing up, I always used to say when I was younger, I wanted to be a pharmacist, right? When I was younger, when I was a little kid. And the reason behind that is because my dad used to run like 4 different pharmacies. And I was like, it's just a natural thing to do. I guess, for me, it was
kind
just
of following the footsteps, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. But can I just tell you that I'm like horrible at math and science? I was like, this is not going to work out. How am I going to pass these tests? So, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
But I had the same affinity for you. Like, I want to do radio. It's something that interests me. Or, MTV.
Right, there you go. And, I didn't notice it before, because I never heard your voice through a pair of headphones, but I actually think that you have the voice and the affliction and the confidence for it.
I have a voice for radio. Is that what you're saying?
I absolutely think so.
We'll see.
Even voiceover. Who knows? Maybe you do a cartoon or something. The sky's the limit.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you even a little bit of fun fact about that.
Okay.
As a younger kid, when I was maybe in 2nd or 3rd grade, I had to go to the little trailers. Yeah, for speech.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, yeah. So if everybody's like, what the heck are the little trailers? So I went to Catholic school, and there would be classes that you would get pulled out of. And if there was like a certain problem and they just like needed to address. So for me, I had a lisp when I was young. Okay. So I had to go to the trailer. Probably like 2-3 times a week. And I mean, I don't know. We were playing Scrabble in there, but, focus around S words and making sure like we corrected that. So maybe even for me, that was always in the back of my mind. Like I was so scared to do and like to speak, I wasn't sure like it would just creep in or I don't know.
Right.
We just start putting things in our head, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think it comes from overthinking.
Oh, I'm the queen of overthinking.
Is that why you also do yoga, to kind of center yourself from all that?
Yeah. So yoga for me, I discovered it, and let me just say, like, I've taken yoga classes like prior to, finding the studio where I was at. I took yoga class and I was just like, it's kind of boring. Like, I don't get it. I wasn't making a connection. And when I finally went to the studio, it was here in Lodi, actually. It's not here anymore, but High Energy Fusion Yoga, always going to give them a little shout out.
Yes.
They are my family. So when I went there, and I want to say that was back in 2012, my mom took me. And she was like, let's go to a yoga class. I think you're going to like this one because my friend went here and she said it's fun. I was like, Mom, we went to that other yoga studio and we were just bored. And she's like, no, this one's different. I promise. We went and I loved that class. I think I was hooked from the first moment. And the teacher that I went to actually try to take her class, she wasn't teaching that day. But I luckily got the owner, the founder, the creator of that place, and she was so amazing. I felt like I connected with her so much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I liked it, and I just kept going, and I actively have been practicing since then. And I decided in 2017 that I wanted to become an instructor.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was a very, very rigorous training. Very rigorous training.
I mean, it's not easy, but,
I mean, and it's different. There's some people that they'll do it. It's a very intensive thing. So beginning, it's a 200-hour program to get your registered yoga teacher certification. And there's programs that you can do it all at one time. But, I don't have expendable time like that to go
right.
to some island and just get that. I had to work full time and I had to take these classes, and the way that they worked it out was a 4-month span. It was like my weekends, and I also had to attend classes at least 3 times a week to get like my hours in as well. It was hard. I will tell you, after the second week, I had a meltdown and I cried when I went home because I was so tired. Even my hair hurt. I was just so tired. And the overthinking, right? Just trying to be perfect and trying to do the things. And it's like feeling scared that I was going to mess up and like disappoint my instructor, because Victoria turned into like a mentor and a friend to me. She was just like, you need to relax. You can do this. You can do this. Why are you like getting so much into your head? Relax. And now I look back on that. It was the best decision I ever made. It completely changed my life. It really did. In positive ways, right?
And that's kind of that kind of goes in line with what we were talking about earlier, where my drive from podcasting came from my affinity for radio, and then I just I couldn't get into that business for other reasons that it's kind of like can't really condense it right now, but fast forward to now where podcast has become pretty much a new wave and everybody and their mother wants to do one. For me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me personally, it was a way for me to get this creative need that I had in me to get it out, because when going back to what we were saying earlier about different things that I wanted to try as a kid, like I would say that as a kid, what I really wanted to do was direct. Like I wanted to be behind the camera making movies because I'm a huge movie buff, movie fanatic, the whole nine. But I couldn't see myself comfortable being in front of a camera or being an actor or anything like that. I kind of wanted to be behind the scenes and still show the world my vision. And then that goes back to what the family was saying, that they supported me but not supported me in the way that I feel like I should. Like have a backup plan, or is it really that lucrative, or is that sustainable? And then afterwards, I let it affect me. I let it affect me to the point where, okay, well, maybe I'm not meant to do anything special. Maybe I'm just going to be a cog in the machine, and I'm just going to like do a regular 9-to-5 job and then just do it all over again. There's not really anything special that I can do. And I tried it all. Like I tried, I tried doing the filmmaking thing. I tried doing the music thing. I tried doing other creative notes, and it just didn't work for me. And I think, and I actually said this on a previous podcast that I was on today. Shout out to Marv from Bravery Studios. I said something along the lines of I had to look back to see ahead. So I had to figure out what it is exactly that I really enjoy doing that I feel like I could really hold on to for a long time. And it was when I was doing the delivery job and listening to the radio. And I remember at one point I wanted to get into that field. And I feel like podcasting is much better because it's your own creative freedom. You could do it however you want to do it with no restrictions. And I feel like you're not being restricted because, in media, especially mainstream, there's a lot of rules and regulations and so on and so forth. And at the same time, you also want to be, fair and reasonable because, we unfortunately live in a day of cancel culture and stuff like that. You could say the wrong thing and then afterwards it's done with.
And you don't even know who you're really offending. Like, it's kind of like, oh, wow, that's not exactly what was intended by what I was saying. And you're like, wow, I'm getting canceled. And I don't even have the opportunity to then even try to rectify it. So I have my own thoughts on cancel culture.
I mean, if you want to peel back the curtain a little bit.
Well, I mean, I do understand being mindful about what you want to say and what your message is and who your audience is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But there are certain instances that then you feel like your creativity is being stifled or what your maybe viewpoint or what your opinion may be. And I mean, if you don't ever voice those things, how are you going to learn that if it's wrong or not? Somebody, we're missing out on an education part right there. Right. So, and there are some people who don't want to be educated and they're always going to have their opinion and they're just, they're going to say, well, this is just what I think and it is what it is.
Right.
But I think sometimes it opens up a dialogue that you're able to say, well, this is what I believe and this is why I believe it. So why are you telling me that it's not? Help me to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a missed opportunity there sometimes when you want to just go ahead and say, well, you're canceled. Well, are you just telling them they're canceled, but are you telling them also? And I know there's other people that take the standpoint that are like, well, it's not my job to educate you. I get it. It's not your job to educate someone else or to change their opinion.
Right.
But if you want them to be on your side, you kind of have to be able to be forthcoming in what your reasoning is, right?
Absolutely. I believe I totally 100% agree with you on everything you just said right now.
Yeah. Those are my viewpoints on cancel culture.
Okay. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that there are other people out there that feel just the way that you do.
Well, and I know there's some people who take a strong stance on it and are just like, okay, now we're just being a little too over the top or, quote unquote, people are being snowflakes right now. Right.
And do you ever feel like there's also sometimes moments where people bite off more than they could chew? There are certain things that do deserve to be canceled, but then afterwards, oh, okay, we were able to take care of this problem. Let's see if we get, what else we can do. And, but at that point, it gets a little bit too extreme, a little bit too selfish and kind of ridiculous. I'll give you a perfect example since we were on the subject of sports a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remember PETA, I think it was a year or two, where they wanted to change the name of the bullpen in baseball because they think it would be offensive to bulls.
I don't think bulls have opinions.
Exactly, But that's my point. They're trying to bite off more than they could chew. I mean, PETA already is doing, great things.
They're doing phenomenal things.
Yeah, they're doing phenomenal things and trying to get their message. But I think when they're trying to change the name, they're trying to get baseball to change the name of bullpen. I think that's when they're trying to bite off more than they could chew.
It's like that's a far reach. Right now, I understand what your compassion is for the animals and everything else. I think sometimes, and I hate saying this because I know words are important, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a bullpen. It is like what it is. It's kind of like it's
a staple. It's a staple in baseball. You can't change it.
And if you did, it's just not going to resonate in the kind of same way. And then there goes the history of certain things. And I'm not saying all history is good, bad, this, that. Yeah. That's where the things start getting muddled and you get too much in the gray area. And it's kind of yes, words matter, definitely. But I don't really think the bulls care that it's called a bullpen, and I think sometimes the bulls may want to be corralled because outside is scary, right?
I'm not worried about what baseball's calling the thing. I'm worried about somebody fucking killing me with a machete or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, taking it to another level. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I mean by, biting off more than you can chew. I mean,
Absolutely.
they already achieve a lot of things that are great, but then afterwards they feel like, all right, what else can we do? Because we're kind of bored at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we can move on from cancel culture.
Yeah, I think you said
even,
your piece.
That wasn't even part of the script today.
You could probably delve deeper into that in your own platform in the future.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
that was a nice segue.
Yep.
So he did mention that I wanted to be involved in podcasts, right? So you gave me the opportunity.
Let's change that
here.
wanna to gonna.
I'm gonna.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, because today I'm doing something that I wanted to do, right? And I did do it. So I'm actually here.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason, not to cut you off, but that's part of the reason why I'm excited to do this, because a big reason as to why I try to help out as many people as I can with my platform is because I feel like I never really got that help from anybody else. I kind of had to learn on the go, kind of had to do, things here on my own. And then gradually I got to, meet people and network with people that would help me out. But in the beginning, it was like I had nobody. So I feel like if I can't be the only person that feels that way. I feel like there's other people out there that want to get their foot in the door, but they just don't know how or where to start. So that's why this is something that I want to keep on going forward. You're not the only person that I want to help out with this. I'm welcome to help out anybody that wants to be involved in it. I just got to make sure that I believe in your talent.
Yeah, no, understandably so. So I reached out to you just because I think it was that day we just happened to see each other. And I'm
at
like,
the Art Factory?
Yes, at the Art Factory. So it was Cinco de Mayo, right? We were there for
the Mexican food and everything.
Yeah, it was really, really good event. You happened to be there, and I saw you and something just clicked for me because it was like I was with my friend actually the day.
I remember that. Yeah.
So I saw you. I said, I have to pick your brain. Like, I have to pick your brain because you're doing a podcast and I know you had recently started. So, maybe you'd be able to direct me in the right direction or just kind of give me some insight or,
Absolutely.
Kind of give the do's or the don'ts. Because my idea was, pandemic. We became a little bit isolated. And, when we did start socializing, I did go to my friend's house and we used to hang out on her deck. And we're just, sitting there talking BS, right? And, of course, we're having adult beverages because we are two people that really enjoy adult beverages. And, we like bougie drinks. So, she likes to get a little fancy and makes things.
Nice.
And we were there and we took a picture of it because, hi, everything's photo worthy now, right?
Yeah.
Or rather, it has to be real worthy now for Instagram.
Fucking algorithm.
Yeah. Look, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about it forever.
Right.
But we're sitting there and she's like, well, we always have such good conversations. We end up talking forever and ever. We should do like a podcast like here on my deck and just talk shit, right? Like, and have drinks, and we'll feature bougie drinks and like nice cocktails, and we'll give people the ingredients, so that they can make it themselves at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I love that idea. And I was like, let me take it a step further. So let's secure the name and let's secure the IG and let's get an email so that when we want to do all these things, we're going to have it already in place,
Yeah.
Because, just saying what you said, oh, we want to do it, or,
You're going to do
it. So I did. And that's called Decked Out Drinks. So our idea is to take Decked Out Drinks from just an IG platform, what it is right now, and take it to a podcast level.
Yeah, and you guys have a Instagram handle for that as well, right?
We do. It's all one word, Decked, DECKED, out, OUT, drinks, DRINKS.
Love it. I love how that just flowed naturally.
Yeah, and actually, this is the first time that I'm acknowledging that I'm one of the people behind that page. I'm going to keep the other person a secret right now. We decided to kind of keep it a little bit anonymous. We haven't posted ourselves in any of the photos, but we do feature drinks in different locations, and we will tag the locations and, give you a rundown of what it is that we're having. We also love to do barscapes. So just take a little video of what the bar looks like. Usually like without, so like we want to focus more on the drinks there,
right.
Not the people that are there, because we're not a club promoter page or anything like that. But it's just like, we love pretty barscapes.
Right.
If you take time, if you're one of the owners of an establishment, whether it's a bar or restaurant or whatnot, and what are you putting into your bar? Like, for example, I'm going to tell you one place that has a phenomenal barscape is the Craftsman in New Jersey.
Yes, I know the Craftsman.
Yeah,
Okay.
and their mixologists make great drinks. Shout out to Molly. Her drinks are so good.
Nice. Should have her on the show.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then also De Novo in Edgewater. We feature a lot of their drinks. We just like people who are creative as well. So we like to feature things like that. And if we can take that to the next level and include our own recipes and just engage our audience, right? So say you were to come on the show, I'd pick your brain a little bit beforehand. What do you like to drink? And we'll concoct something that's for you if you drink. I'm making assumptions, right?
I'm definitely a drinker.
Okay.
Yeah, just putting it out there.
And then asking you, what do you like? We'll make up something, and that's what our featured drink is. This is who our featured guest is. And then we'll just get into it, like whatever questions or whatever the theme or the topic of the day would be.
And that sounds like something that's definitely up my alley because I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you before, or even to my audience for that matter. There was a time where I was actually a bartender at one point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
fun facts, everybody. Fun facts. Yeah. Where did you bartend at?
I was bartending at Maggiano's in Hackensack. Yeah, I was there for about 2.5 years bartending. I was there total 4 years. And also over the pandemic and also a little bit after, I started watching a little bit more TV, and I started finally getting into reality TV just like everybody else. I was kind of late to the party, and one of them just happened to be Bar Rescue.
Yes, I really like that. I really love how they would take a bar and resuscitate it.
But not just that, but they actually show you some of these crazy concoctions that they make, as whether it's food or drink, and they give you the ingredients on how to make it, and you're thinking, oh man, I should definitely try that out.
Well, the thought process behind that too was also like, if you're on Instagram or whatnot, there's drinks there or people are talking about it. Like if somebody's making it in front of you and they're just talking and they're not giving, what the ingredients are, I'm kind of like... or like I'll screenshot it if they actually did put the ingredients in, like, in the actual video itself. I'm like, okay, I need to know what's going on here and see if I can try it on my own.
Or you could even Google it. I'm pretty sure that you can find Google.
Right. I mean, but although some places put their own spin, because so there could be like a classic cocktail, say like an old fashioned, but it really depends on, what type of whiskey or rye that you're using, like what is your garnish, like, everything else. It really depends.
But I think that's the beauty of being a mixologist. You're basically being a scientist, a chemist, for lack of a better term, to actually make your own concoction and making sure that it sells.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are some mixologists out there that do phenomenal work, and I really love, their pages and things like that. So I try to follow them.
And you say you love fancy drinks.
Yes, exactly. There's actually one person, I don't know her at all. And I just follow the IG page. I just love the videos, the reels. I love the recipes. So Bad Birdie, love her.
Bad Birdie. Nice. All right. Nice little plug as well.
I'll give her a little plug because, I'm entertained always. And I'm not a bartender. Like, I just enjoy it. Like, I love food. I love drink, right? As do a lot of people, but I'm just very particular about the way things taste and, like,
You're a professional sipper.
Or what's complimentary to, whatever it is that we're having or what we're eating or like what the mood is, seasonal type things. So, I appreciate that.
Can you imagine if John Taffer ever comes on your show?
I don't know who that is.
The host of Bar Rescue.
Oh, I see. Again, I watched the show, but for me to like remember his name, I wouldn't. But yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah, the guy that just screams at everybody.
I love him because I watched Bar Rescue, and it's like he comes in and he just yells at everybody. You just feel like,
shut it down, all that shit.
You're like, okay, my place is crap. I gotta go.
What's interesting about that show is that I guess because when I used to bartend, I bartended in a corporate environment. So it was owned by a corporate company where a lot of these these episodes are. They have people that are mom and pop places. So I feel like all the shit that they did to mess up, I feel like I definitely would have possibly made it in the bar business because I was able to learn from a corporate side of everything, and I know what cleanliness and all about, and portion control and so on and so forth. And these people, if you think about it, they just got into it because they didn't want to work.
Right.
They just wanted to come to a place where they can make money, but they didn't consider it as work. But that was their one mistake, and they need to realize that. Being in that kind of business and that industry, the hospitality industry overall, you're dedicating your entire life to that.
Just even literally like with the alcohol, what's going into each drink, that's kind of like being counted because that's going against the inventory. So if like you're overdoing it, that shows up. You know, if you're giving out free drinks left and right, you best believe, especially in a corporate environment, they're going to see that. In a small mom and pop, they're like, no. And then like, but why are we losing money? Well, because.
Yeah. FYI, if I ever get a bar of my own, nobody's getting free anything. Unless it's like a birthday or some kind of like.
Let me just tell you, support your friends, you know?
Absolutely.
Don't ask your friends for freebies. If they offer, that's something else, but support your friends because one, you know, you don't know what they're trying to do. They're not just trying to make a buck off of you. They put in work, you know. Same thing. Let me give you a funny example. Yeah. My mom always takes my yoga classes, right? Ever since I've taught and I had my own studio space before. So my mom would come to my class. She was my number one student. My mom paid for her class.
Okay.
My mom always pays for her class. She doesn't have to because that's my mom and I don't expect her to. Right. But she's like, no, this is a service and this is something that I appreciate. And she tells me she knows how hard I work and what I do. It's not just like I'm getting there and I'm just doing something that's pre-scripted. I'm getting it out of a book or anything like that. I actually write a class plan. If you know me, you know that I'm very into music and I create playlists. And I'm not that person that's going to make a playlist and we're going to listen to it for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Like I personally can't. I might, if I really like it, I might play it again next week or whatever. It's a consistent
process, you know.
Or I just switch it up. I like to have like different things because I kind of feel like it goes along with my mood. And that's the same way that for my class, you know, I'm going to construct a class. I don't want to do it too early in the week unless even though if I have an idea, I'll write it out because I'll want to have it like in my library.
Right.
But, I can totally change my mind the night before. I'm like, no, we're going to go ahead and do this because I saw this super cool thing and I want to try it. And I think my students would benefit from it. Right.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It's a lot of work, though. I'm not going to say that it's not. Like, it takes me some time. And I always find that, for instance, this morning I taught at 8 a.m. So the night before I teach, especially if it's morning time, very early, I don't like to go out. I like to feel centered and I like to wake up refreshed and I like to go give my students the best energy I can because everything's an energy exchange, right? Mm-hmm. So I have to be the best me so I can get the best and pull the best out of you.
Nice. Yeah. I like that. And I always say that all the hard work that comes into anything that we want to do, we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't actually love it. Like, perfect example, the podcast. Like, what we're doing right now is the easy part. All we're doing is just talking to one another and to the audience in front of a microphone, and that's like the real fun of what we do. But the before and the after, when it comes to the setting up and the breaking down and the promotions and so on and so forth, that's all the hard stuff to do. And also, you have to deal with technical difficulties if they happen, because they will, you know. But the point that I'm reaching at is that we wouldn't want to go through all of that shit if we really didn't enjoy it, you know?
Correct.
And there's going to be days where, like, listen, I might have technical difficulties, or somebody cancels at the last minute and they can't make it, or maybe I wasn't in the right headspace when I thought that I was about to record. Like, one of my funniest but most embarrassing episodes was on a St. Patrick's Day episode, and then you can clearly hear towards the end of the episode that I'm done. Like, I was celebrating a little bit too hard.
I was just going to ask you that. Was there any green beer involved?
There was not any green beer. There was green liquor.
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah, so.
Ooh, that just sounds like it's going to go down the wrong path.
Yeah, shout out to Jameson.
Well, Jameson is a good friend of mine. Yes.
Yeah.
Green tea shots. Those are my favorite.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Definitely feature that on Decked Out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a known thing, but like, I like green tea shots. Let's see if we can make a little spin on it, though.
Yeah. And I also want to give a shout out real quick to a plug to Hackensack Brewing Company. I was just there yesterday. Shout out to Joe Benengo and Oh the Pain podcast. They have their brand new Oh the Pain beer. Definitely got me in the right. Definitely had a party with that.
We also like fancy beers. So yeah, it's not just fancy drinks. We also like, bougie beers.
There you go. Bougie beers.
IPAs, yeah. I've actually been to Hackensack Brewing. So
yeah, shout out to Mike Jones and everybody at Hackensack Brewing Company.
Yeah, very, very good spot.
Yeah, I love it.
Agreed. Another question I wanted to ask you, why did you stop going to yoga? I'm putting you on the spot right now.
No, it's fine. I stopped going to yoga because it's basically the same thing that anybody does when it comes to working out. Unfortunately, you get into the groove for a minute, and then afterwards life happens, and then you feel like, I'll just, I'll skip this day, I'll go back to it, and then afterwards you just don't go back. So, but I've always enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I've always liked yoga, and this I don't know if I ever told you this, but the last time that I went, it was actually a lot harder for me than I realized, because from the time that I used to go consistently to that one time to try to get back into it, I gained considerable weight. So it was much more difficult for me. And sometimes I'm a little self-conscious, and then I'm looking at all the other yogis, and they see me sweating like a stuck pig and everything. So I was like, I had to get out of that. I had to get out of that mind frame.
This is
but
what, yeah.
that's basically
and
what
this
happened.
is what I tell everybody. Do you, boo? This is literally what I say in class. This is like one of the things, and we say, I mean, a few of us teachers say this a lot. Do you, boo?
Yeah.
Like what you're doing is you're supposed to be focusing on what's going on the four corners of your own mat. Don't worry about what else is going on, whether this person's upside down for like 5 minutes.
Well, then to keep it in the four corners of the mat, for what I was dealing with personally is that I remember when I first started doing it, it felt like, oh, I actually can hang with this. Like my body is actually not enjoying it. I'm definitely getting a workout and a stretch and everything, but I feel like I can hang.
Right.
Like I could definitely progress with this. When I went back for the first time in like God knows when, I was like, I feel like I couldn't do it properly. I was rusty as hell,
right.
Super rusty.
But that's where you start to practice compassion with yourself. Like I'm sure you're a compassionate person to others and things that they're going through.
I like to think so.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, but you also have to extend that same grace to yourself.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've had to learn over time, and I still deal with it here and there. But,
we all do.
But at the end of the day, my biggest critic and my biggest enemy could sometimes be the guy in the mirror, because. You know, and listen,
absolutely.
Yeah, because like, and I'll even tell you right now, I appreciate everybody and anybody that gives me compliments on doing the podcast and doing the networking and so on and so forth and helping others out. But there's always going to be sometimes in the back of my mind where I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough, or it's not good enough what I'm doing. And I try to use that as motivation to try to do better and elevate myself. So it's weird where like my brain works where like I appreciate everybody that, you know, telling me all these compliments and great things. But at the end of the day, the only one person that really matters is myself. And I think through what I've been through in my life and in my past, it makes me feel like it's never, ever going to be good enough.
Do you feel that ties into imposter syndrome?
Possibly, if you could describe imposter syndrome to me.
So, I mean, that's just a thought of you never feeling really good enough. And so say you're here and you're doing your podcast and you're doing amazing, but you're always like, that episode wasn't that great and I'm not as good as this other person, and like I haven't gotten to this level yet, or I don't have this many views on this show, so maybe that show wasn't, you know, like you just start overthinking it.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you right now, and you know, being honest, and I think one of the things that people appreciate about myself is that I could be a little bit too honest for my own good, but I'm not going to apologize for my honesty. So I could be on a friend's podcast as a guest, and I love the show. I love the episode that we did, and then somebody else that I know personally could be the following guest, and then I see that they get more views than I did. So in my head, I'm thinking like, all right, a little bit jealous about that. I wish I had as much views or at least the same as them, but that pushes me to wanting to do a better job next time.
Well, I mean, one, you know, depending on what the marketing is and where it's at, or where they're at in their journey. Are they more far, you know, are they farther along? Like sometimes when you have a little bit more longevity, you obviously have more of a fan base, right?
Oh, you know what it also does for me? It also kind of humbles me in a way, because I'm thinking like, oh, that was such a fucking killer episode. Like everybody's going to love it, this, that, and the third. And then afterwards something like that happens and I'm thinking, all right, just step back, you know, just like.
I get that. Because like, imagine like when you're taking these yoga photos, right? And you post it like, oh, I just did that pose and it looks great. And then like I took my time and I fixed the photo, or I had somebody do it professionally and I post it and I get like 20 likes. And you're like, hi, Instagram algorithm. Like, what the fuck? Like, who's seeing this? Where is it? And it's like, why am I getting more views in my story than I am on here? It's really weird.
It happens all the time.
So I learned to let go of those things. Yeah. But, you know, I think a lot of us do suffer from imposter syndrome. Yeah. And I think we just I think we try to get in our heads too much about what it is we're doing. And I don't think we give ourselves our roses the way that we should. Yeah. Right?
No, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And I guess to add to that, yeah, I guess it is imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I did know somebody who did podcasts before and she's very successful with it, but I would see her doing it and I'm like, well, you know, she studied broadcasting. She's been in this world before. No wonder she's so good at it. And I just even felt like I wasn't on that level, and maybe I think I was just too scared to start. I'm sure that if I would have had the conversation with her, she probably would have told me, like, hey, do you want to try it? Or like, is this what you want to do? Or, she is a person that I do know as well. It's not that I'm a complete stranger, but I had that imposter syndrome. Big shout out to her at Dike Media. That's Sarah.
Right.
So
yeah, and I don't know exactly what you're talking about because one of my dear friends, Joe Fucarino, where we're actually here in Jersey Media Studios, he has his own podcast, Therapy Without a Degree, and as much as I believe in my talent, sometimes I watch their show on a weekly basis, and I'm thinking, fuck, those guys are really fucking good. I want to get to that level that they're at.
But I mean, that's always something good. It's something to aspire to, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think
at the same time, I'm trying to be myself. I'm not trying to be, be a copycat or anything.
Right. Well, you want to differentiate yourself.
Exactly.
Which that's super cool. I love people's authenticity and what they're doing and the way they want to present themselves, because yes, you're not reinventing the wheel.
No.
But you can add your own flavor to it, right?
Right.
So.
Exactly. I love that analogy, actually.
I mean, it really doesn't go together, but it made sense, right?
That's the point. The fact that you were able to make two things that are complete opposites, but you made that shit make sense. That's like taking lemons and making lemonade. Pretty much.
Yes, exactly. Or just having it with tequila, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Same shit, different.
Yeah, staying on the decked out. I love it.
Staying on brand.
I love it. See, this is just further proof as to why I know I can't wait for decked out. I really can't.
I'm excited. It's something I definitely want to partake in. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to me talk here, I've spoken about yoga. I've spoken about just wanting to do a podcast. But like, I'm such a multifaceted individual that like I just do a lot of different things all over the place. So even on another level, maybe if I make myself accountable and say it on here, I'll actually start it. So I actually have another business. It's yet launched. I have not launched it. Mind you, I've had this LLC all year long. It's going to be a year coming up towards I want to say November.
Okay.
It's called Little Dope Shop. There's nothing on the IG. So, I mean, you can follow it if you want, but there's nothing on there yet except the logo.
Not yet.
Yeah, I haven't said anything to anyone about it, but this is me taking that step, right?
Yes. And I'm proud for you for doing so. This is like the snowball effect. It's gonna just
absolutely trying to make things happen for myself. So I wanted to focus more like on a specialty online retail gift shop. So what does that mean? That means I want to carry things that are either one of one, or I want to carry things that are specific to what I like. So if you know Mercedes loves robes, right? So I actually even have merchandise already. This is the sad part, that I have not launched this yet, right? I have merchandise. So I have a whole bunch of silk kimonos that I got. They are imported from India.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So really
these are legit.
Yeah. I mean, I was hesitant about it because I had to see what the quality was and everything, and I really love them, and I had to actually show some friends and ask them what their feedback is. I actually had my best friend like screaming at me. She was like, well, if you would launch your damn website, I can purchase and I can give people these gifts. And I'm like,
I love the accountability.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, like my best friends are good for that. They will literally put me on blast.
But that's what a best friend is supposed to do at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then another thing that I want to have, which kind of ties back into decked out drinks, is I carry vintage barware. So, old style glasses, say for guys, like, a nice whiskey decanter with the glasses. I want to carry things that, for cigar smokers, those accessories for you guys, for sure. Right? I want to carry things that are both just, not just women, but also for men as well. Like these little pleasures that you would purchase for yourself to indulge in, like to kind of spoil yourself, or also to purchase for someone else as a gift, to give as a gift. Because we don't know what other people like as far as, clothing or, whatnot. But these are little things. If you pay attention to what their hobbies are and what their likes are, you can go ahead and, get something there and give it. And, Some things are going to be limited editions because either they're 101, right? Or I'm just not going to carry it for a long time. I like the exclusivity of that. And also there may be some things that are just going to kind of be reoccurring because they're things I enjoy. So artisan soaps. I do know somebody who makes these wonderful soaps, and I'm hoping I can carry them. I'm going to have to reach out to her again because I had this conversation with her months ago.
You're right.
And, we're here.
As the kids say, we're here.
We're here.
We outside.
We're outside. I've been outside and I have not been doing what I need to do inside. So for real. But yeah, so things like that. Specialty items.
I like it. And I love the fact that everything you just said is so detailed and everything. You really put a lot of thought and time into this.
Hello. Didn't I tell you I'm like the queen of overthinking?
Wow. That's a drop the mic moment right there.
I definitely overthought this. And what my next problem is overthinking is just like, how am I going to do this website? Do I have to do it like this? But I need these types of pictures. And oh my God, they should really be professional. My iPhone photos are not going to cut it. Like, this is the crap that goes through my mind. So if anybody is having those thoughts about, like, if you're trying to start a business or do something, whatever, you're not alone. Like,
right.
This is the way it works.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because I've reiterated this on my show before, and I'll reiterate it with you. I actually had the idea of doing a podcast much earlier than I actually started doing it. And a big reason for that was because I felt like I was overthinking. I was procrastinating because I feel like everything just needed to fall into place. Like, I needed the right mic, the right equipment, the right setting, the right topics, this, that, and third. And, I felt like I couldn't start it really until I had all those pieces in place.
All in all, how long do you think it took you to actually launch this?
I would have to say about a year. Because I remember I had this idea. I told my friend Natalie, shout out to Natalie. She's the first person that I told this to. And that was about a month before the pandemic actually happened.
Oh, wow.
And then I didn't get finally off the ground. I didn't launch my first episode until September 30th of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. So...
And that was because of overthinking?
Overthinking. And also, I don't want to use the excuse of the pandemic because of, everything that we had to deal with. But
it's a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a weird time. 2020 was a really crazy.
I think we're still in a weird time. So
yeah, this is like part 3 or something like that. It's a trilogy going on right now.
It's too many for me. Like, I can't do anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like The Walking Dead, where like you feel like it's never gonna end. But anyway, but yeah, no, I just came to the realization that, you know what, I'm tired of telling all these people that I'm gonna do something and I'm not doing it, and they're like, oh, he's all talk, he's not gonna do anything, And when you start to feel that kind of energy, it embarrasses you and it kind of humbles you in a way. And then afterwards, I was like, you know what? It's not the way I want it to be set up yet. I don't have everything in place, but if I don't do it now, somehow, some way, it's never going to happen. So I had to force myself. I had to get up off my ass and do whatever I could with what I had. And I'm actually glad that I took that approach, because with that, I think it's allowed me to grow as a host, grow as a content creator. And with that being said, it's going to be aligned with how I'm going to elevate the show, as long as I'm elevating myself on that same level.
I love that. I really love that. It's kind of like you're holding yourself accountable at this point because you reach that stage. So you're like, I can't overthink it anymore. I have to do it, and I'm going to do it well. And it's like you're kind of giving yourself those positive affirmations throughout it. And
it's also beneficial to my mental health, because I believe that there was a time in my life where I wasn't accountable for my actions. So this is actually me holding myself accountable, and also recognizing to hold myself accountable in the future.
I love that. And I feel like you extending yourself to others who maybe want to get into this as well, and you lending your expertise and trying to help people navigate the ins and outs of this. I think that's also a form of accountability and creating community.
Absolutely.
With others.
And, one of the things that I like about this podcast community is that I feel like, as much as I have a real family and I love my family dearly, I look at it as the family that I never had, because one of the things that we talked about before is like how we feel like our family and friends, they'll support us, but their support is not as big as the people that I've never even met before, or there's people out there that I've never met on a personal basis,
right,
on social media.
They're your IG friends.
They consume my shit on a regular basis. I'm pretty sure that my mom has only heard like maybe 1 or 2 episodes, and that even though she does support and love everything that I'm doing.
Or just like when you post your clips, right? And they go ahead and they share it, and it's like, oh, check my guy out. Check out this podcast. This was so good.
Right.
You know, things like that. It is definitely a fact that yes, your family and friends support you, and I think even for me, I had to take it with a grain of salt. Yes, they support me. My family helped me a lot, especially during my I think like my yoga journey. Yeah. even during training, because I was tired. So like my dad would cook me food. He's like, here, I meal prepped for you, so you don't have to, because I was working in the city and coming home and having to run to class, to have to run back home, get home like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. This is when I'm eating dinner, mind you. Right. So then take a shower, go to sleep, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning the next day to go back to work. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but you know, I think family and friends support you in a certain respect, and we can't. I know in the beginning I probably used to get upset, like, damn, why didn't you come to my class? Like, you know, I'm trying to, you know, I just started these classes, or, you know, I just started teaching at this studio. Like, why are you not coming? Or like, you know.
Yeah, I get you.
It's just like, hello.
I get you, because you know what's actually a common thing that's happened to me prior, especially when I started the podcast in the beginning. People like, yo, I see you out there on IG doing your thing. You get the podcast up and rolling and everything. And I was like, oh, thanks, bro. I appreciate that. You listen to any of the episodes and you're like, nah, I haven't got around to it yet. But like, so they see what I'm doing and they're supporting what I'm doing, but they haven't actually listened to the actual thing. It's like seeing that you made a trailer for a movie, but no, I haven't got around to watching the actual movie.
Yeah, I didn't watch it yet. So, I mean, you can even invite them to the premiere, and they might have an excuse for that too, right, you know? Right. So,
oh, my dog ate my tickets or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we do get a lot of support from people who are, again, you said, like people you just meet online, or just people who are not your closest friends. They can be people that you're acquaintances with, or people that you know from someone else. Actually, today, funnily enough, I had a student come to my yoga class this morning. I didn't know her. Mm-hmm. She started following my page because she saw that somebody else reposted me. She posted me on her story and said, oh, I took a mobility class with Mercedes and I felt like really good this whole week. And she said, oh, I need that. So she sent me a message and she said, do you have space in tomorrow's class? I said, absolutely, no problem. Come on in. Didn't know her at all. And she came on the strength that somebody else recommended me. And that's somebody who I actually became friends with on Instagram, which ended up becoming like one of my biggest supporters. Big, big, big shout out to Ellie. If you know her, like almost all my friends follow her. Ellie Brito, yes.
I know Ellie.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, I know her.
Everybody knows Ellie.
With the big afro?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think her hair is lit. You know, shout out to Ellie.
Shout out to Ellie. Ellie is great. Ellie is always like, if she's not working out, if she's not involved like with, doing stuff for her family's lit, because mind you, she brought her whole family to my class, like, and they became my students regularly as well. If she's not doing something, say for church and faith-based things, if she's not doing community events, she's supporting like everybody. Like if you have a business and you tell her that you're going to have like a pop-up shop, or you're going to have a sale, or you're going to have this, she will go and do that. So,
and her Instagram game is on smizzy.
She's amazing. And she just has the most wonderful personality, and she's very genuine. By the way, let me just plug this for her. She also does a meal prep. You guys missed it because the cutoff was for Friday ordering for you to get food delivered for next week. But you can always, follow her page, Flavorful Health.
There you go.
I can't give you the actual Instagram, but look it up. You'll find it. Or if you follow Ellie Brito, then you'll find her stuff. But yeah, I actually used to do her meal prep, and I bother her that when she stopped doing her meal prep, I gained 10 pounds.
Wow. Small
so
world.
It's her fault that I gained weight. It's really not. It's my fault.
Yeah, you got to hold yourself accountable.
Yes, holding myself accountable. But yeah, she does so many things, and she's such a supportive person, and that kind of goes into the credit of like those people that didn't know you. I didn't know her from before, from anything. I started following her because of her meal prep,
right?
And that's how we just became friends. She was like, oh, you do yoga? Oh, you teach yoga? Where? I want to go to your class. And that's just how we became friends.
Yeah, that's how it happens. I mean, sometimes I randomly have people come just hit me up on social media, ask if they can be on my show. And then I gotta like,
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I have a rule where like I only want to bring people on that I believe in their talent.
Right.
So you can imagine there's been a couple of times where I've had to respectfully decline the guest spots.
I mean, A for effort, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also going to give you an A for trying to put yourself out there, because it might have taken you a little courage to do that.
Definitely.
But you have to look at it from the other person's standpoint as well. They don't know you at all. They don't know what your intent is. If you haven't presented yourself in the way of like explaining what it is that's going on, and if you just haven't vibed with that person, you can't really expect someone to just be like, oh, hey, you just want to do a podcast? All right, why don't you just come on my show? Like, it sounds like that's what happened here in this instance, but it didn't.
Well, I think that you had the benefit because I knew you prior to doing this, you know?
Exactly. And like, we didn't know each other on a deeply personal level,
yeah.
right? But, you did know about me and what I did. We had mutual friends.
Yes.
We had conversations like prior.
Yes.
So, I'm very happy that you were able to say, well, yeah, I feel like this is something that I would want to do. And again, like I've said it throughout the whole entire show, but I'm super grateful for you for extending this to me.
And I'm equally as grateful that you actually thought of me to come for help.
Again, but that actually was an opportunity. So, but I also, I think it was the way that I approached you, because I didn't even ask to come be on the show. I just asked to learn. So had you been just interviewing someone else, and if I could have sat like right over there behind the camera, take notes and see what's going on, like understand what the nuances are in having these type of conversations with people, doing one-on-ones, or like, the mic and whatnot, these are all things that you have to pay attention to. And I'm not going to say, hey, I just want to sit in the guest spot off the rip. Like, I don't know. It worked for me, but I don't know.
Right.
And I'm not a rookie. So let me just backtrack here. I've never done a podcast before, but I've done interviews before. And I'm a person who has done public speaking before. And I've had many lives. I've told you this before. I do a lot of different things. Yeah. So I'm not afraid of the camera. I'm not afraid of expressing my ideas or having conversations. This is not scripted. This is just like back and forth.
Yeah, no, and I feel like it's been flowing very, very fluid.
Yeah. So
I love it. I'm having a lot of fun, and not just having you here, but I was on that little hiatus, and just being able to be back in front of the mic and doing this and getting back on track. I have this fire back in me, and I just can't wait to see what happens.
How was the break, by the way?
It was nice. It was much needed though, because listen, you could be passionate about anything that you are passionate about, but sometimes you got to give yourself that mental break, because you don't want to feel like you're burning out or feel like it's a necessity. Like you have to do this. It's almost like when I used to do music back in the day. A big reason why I stopped doing this, because not only was I losing my passion for it, but it started to feel like a job instead of something that I actually enjoy. So, but this is completely different. But I didn't want to take that risk of being burnt out and not wanting to do this again.
I totally get what you mean in that respect. So during the pandemic, obviously, I couldn't teach in person anymore. They shut down all the studios. Right. But the studio that I taught at, High Energy Fusion Yoga, they pivoted immediately, and we went online almost immediately. It took me like a month to decide to actually want to live stream classes. So we used to do them via Zoom, and we had to do the class as we were teaching, because of the way that we did it was a webinar format. So, the focus is just on you, the instructor, but you have to do the whole entire class and teach it. So you've been to one of those classes. So can you imagine how out of breath I'd be like, all right, you guys do this. I need some water. But pandemic, so this is the way that we were connecting, because we were a community. I was teaching so often online, and then finally when the studio opened up, I started teaching in person. I was one of the first people that I was like ready. Like I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to teach in person again. I don't care if we have to wear masks. I don't care if we have to disinfect the whole room, like between every single person. Like it was a lot. Yeah, but I was ready, and I went back and I did it. And I want to say last year, last May 2021, we had moved to the new studio. I taught there a little bit, and I just, at one point, I had to ask for my regular class. I was like, I really need to take a little bit of a break. So let me take off for like about a month and see how I feel. Because I felt that during that time I took care of everybody else. You know, I felt that as the not so much caregiver, but, you know, the energy that I was giving out to everyone, like, you know, through the pandemic and after, I'm so focused on making sure everybody's mental health and well-being is good, like trying to keep some sense of normalcy, that I wasn't extending that same thing to myself either. So I was like, well, I'm not even taking care of myself. I'm not even practicing the way that I should. And I'm not working out. I'm not doing anything. I had started like working again this time back in Jersey. So my schedule was a little different, but I just needed the break. I took the break and then I extended it and I said, you know, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want the regular class right now, but I will sub, because I know that teachers sometimes need a break, because you start to feel, not that you don't love it, because we all love it, but you start to feel like, oh God, I'm tired of hearing my own voice right now. Or like, am I teaching the same thing all the time? Like, does
it feel repetitive?
Like and for us it feels repetitive, but like for the students it wouldn't, but for us it would. But you know, I took the break and I just recently started teaching again, and that's because the opportunity presented itself at the gym that I work out at.
Right.
And, you know, it took a while because I used to always plug it all the time. And, you know, I switched it up and made it like, we make it mobility and recovery, so that the athletes, the people that go to the gym that, you know, like to pick heavy things up and put them down so that they feel like it's accessible to them. Again, because you say yoga to some people, they're like, oh, I don't want to chant and I don't want to just stretch. Yeah. And it's like, okay, you're going to stretch, obviously, because you need to stretch, right? Yeah. But you also need to, you know, work on your mobility, like how your joints move. Like, do you want to feel a little better when you're doing a squat, right? Yeah. Do you want to feel better doing this? Do you want to know what balance is? Because you don't really have balance. So the opportunity presented itself, and I've been doing it for a couple months now, and I really enjoy it. I think what I really enjoyed was bringing it to a new community that they normally wouldn't, like, go to a regular yoga studio, right?
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah. And then also, I think what I missed, because when COVID happened, I lost my studio space that I used to rent, not because the business shut down, but because that business was doing so well. So they needed the space to accommodate what their needs were. And I was very happy for them, because that was my friends. Shout out to Botanica San Lazaro. Lorenzo is my good friend. We went to high school together. I lost that space, couldn't teach there anymore. I really miss being my own boss.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's kind of like what made the difference for me right now. So while I teach at the gym that I'm at, you know, they give me the autonomy to structure things the way that I want to. And they're just with it. Like, I feel like the buy-in is there now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it's working out for you.
Thank you.
You know, just keep at it.
Yeah. And I got to plug the gym, Gold Time Performance.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're doing fantastic, I got to say, you know.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job. Feeling okay?
I feel good. Well, you know, I'm an observant person, so I like to do my homework. I like to go back and check. So not even just your own podcast, but I used to, you know, listen to some. And let me not say, I'm not that person that listens to podcasts every single day. I'm not. But I do recall those, like what we were saying earlier in the show, those morning radio shows. Like, and I love that. And then just kind of the rapport that people had between each other. And I always love the dynamic of things like the Breakfast Club, or taking it way back in the day. Like, so you remember Miss Jones in the morning? I
had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I actually just heard, I was listening to her the other day, because now, you know, they have that station now, The Block. And she's on there. And I'm like, I feel so nostalgic. Because like, one, hearing her voice, it's the same, right? Yeah. And then I saw her on Drink Champs, which her interview was really good. And I was just like, I love that. And it brought me back. Like, that's what you said when you used to drive and you would listen. It brought me back to, wow, when I used to be in the car and listening to these shows, I always thought, like, I can do that. Like, I can sit there. Like, even the other day I was in the car, I was like, Miss Jones, you and I should talk. Like, we would have a great conversation.
Yeah. Well, here's to manifesting her coming out.
Manifesting, right? She, I feel, for me, you know, based on, like, you know, my age, she was one of the women that I listened to, you know, her, Wendy, just like, Angie, obviously. Like,
I love Angie.
Yeah, I still love Angie.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, these are all women that just made it possible for me to think that I can be in that position.
They paved the way for you.
Absolutely. I mean, and like I said, I'm still on the first brick in the road. Like, I haven't even gone down this road yet.
All it takes is that one brick.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
So, I mean, it was something that I really enjoyed, and I looked to them as examples, and then it's like, I think they were always authentic and they were themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they covered topics that they needed to cover because they were in the studio, in the industry, and they're like, yeah, well, you need to do this, you need to cover this, this is the guest, this, that, or the other.
Play the hits, yep.
But they're still themselves throughout it.
Yeah. And especially in a market like New York, you have to be authentic because they will smell bullshit from a mile away.
Oh, you know, we are tough critics.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? I don't think I would. I don't think I would rather be in any other market than the one that we're in right now.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I would know how to operate. I think we're too harsh and abrasive for other places, probably.
I know. Do you realize when I was in Florida, people always think like, "Yo, you curse a lot."
Oh my goodness. I went to Virginia one time, Virginia Beach, and I think you actually get fined for cursing. This was a long time ago. I don't know if that's changed.
I can never go there.
No, well, you know, this was, I think, in my college years, and I saw that sign. They said no cursing or fine or whatever.
No, I can't be in any place where I can't say
fuck. And literally the first words out of my mouth were like, what the fuck is this? And my friend was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, rule breaker.
I'll see you in court. Anyways, yeah. But no, but this is a lot of fun. I had a great time with you.
Likewise. Yeah. I really, really enjoyed this. I want to extend my gratitude one more time if I haven't told you 1,000 times already today. Yeah.
Did you have one more question though?
Let's see. I want to ask like one thing. Let's see.
Because I have a question for you after
You have a question for me. Why don't you ask your question and then I'll feed off of that?
Well, all right. It's actually the question that I ask everybody that comes on my show at the very end. And I'm pretty sure if you've done your research, you know what's coming up. So with you, Mercedes Rolon, if they were to make a movie on your life.
You put my whole government on here.
So did you.
I did.
So if they were to make a movie on your life, which actress would you like to see portray you and why?
You know what's funny? Somebody asked me this question maybe a month ago.
Sure it wasn't me?
I'm positive it wasn't you. It was actually at the coffee house that I like to go to all the time. Here's another shameless plug. House Cafe in Fair Lawn, 1254 River Road. They are my favorites.
Yeah. Looking for sponsors.
Well, no, I'm looking for, no, honestly.
I'm talking about myself.
Well, everybody go there, give them the business, and then they can be a sponsor.
There you go.
Right. So the person that I said, and it's so funny, they said, well, I can see that. I want Salma Hayek to play me.
Wow, that's a great one. That is a great one. I could actually see the resemblance in a way.
Well, my aunt used to call me that, but I don't really think I look like her. But I think we have similarities. I think she's very intelligent. I like to think I'm intelligent.
I believe so.
Thank you. She's obviously very beautiful. I'm not there, but she's very beautiful.
Very few people are.
Exactly. She's like gorgeous. Like, you know, honestly, like when you think of Salma Hayek, what's the first image that pops in your head?
Like what
movie? Yeah.
For me, it's Desperado.
Yes.
Or From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn. I was just gonna say it's From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
It's the whole dance scene. That's gold. Like I would love to say that if I actually got on that meal plan, Ellie, can you hit me up with the meal plan? I will be there for Halloween, but I don't know. I'm not gonna put that out there because I do like to eat as well. So, but no, I just feel she's very witty as well. And I like that she's conscious about certain things and what she puts out there and the type of roles that she takes. And I've always liked her in all the movies. I just like her personality.
I also like the fact that she could be more, like all over the place. Like she could play a historical figure like Frida, and then one day she'll be like a sexy, hot, badass girl in Desperado, and then she'll be like the crazy housewife in Grown Ups.
Yeah, I loved her in Grown Ups. That was amazing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really love that. Oh my goodness. And why am I blanking on the movie that she was in?
Fools Rush In.
Yes. Was that it? Yes, that was it. Fools Rush In. Yes, where she marries him. Yep. Yeah, I love that movie. I think that's actually...
Your favorite?
It's my favorite movie to watch because I'm going to give you a little bit. You're probably going to be horrified right now. I cannot... I'm not a movie person.
You are.
I'm not a movie person. I am and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to go to a theater, don't take me. I will go to sleep. Like straight. I don't care.
Okay.
It can be a whole action movie. Insane graphics. Like 3D, 4D, whatever it is. Seats can shake, everything. I don't care. I will go to sleep. I don't know. I don't know if that's the experience for me right now. When I was younger, I loved it. Mm-hmm. But movies like that, I will always rewatch. I guess the nostalgia standpoint. So
yeah, for me, whenever I watch a movie and I judge it, how good it is or how bad it is, it's for me a factor that really factors in is the rewatchability.
Yes.
Because you could have an Oscar-worthy movie that could win all the awards and it's only good to watch maybe once, but Grown Ups is like one of the most critically panned movies of all time, but yet I feel like I've seen it 100 or 200 times.
It's so good. I actually can rewatch that all the time. Same thing with Fools Rush In. Like I really enjoy that. So that's funny. I actually think that's the question that I'm going to ask you. Other than the ones that you just named, what movie can you say you've probably watched the most? Mm-hmm. And what movie you can't get through?
That's a very good question.
Okay.
Very good question. And the first one is easy. It's Goodfellas. Because Goodfellas is my...
Same.
Goodfellas is my all-time favorite movie. I have a poster of it on my living room and everything. That's how much I love it. I can quote it all the time. And I never get tired of it. The one movie that I feel that I cannot get through, that's very interesting. Because if we're talking TV shows, I can give you a couple of them off the top of my head.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, first of all, and I'm probably going to be judged hard for this, but I cannot get into Game of Thrones. I don't know what it is. I can't get into it. I tried watching the first season and I was like, nope, I've had enough. I
cannot say anything about that because I've never watched Game of Thrones.
I at least tried to watch it and I just couldn't get into it.
I saw part of one episode, and that was the shaming one. So it's a really good episode. Like that's later on. And that's just because I happened to be at my cousin's house. Gotcha. And his wife was watching it, and I was like, "This looks kind of cool. Wow." And I was just like, "But I don't like to watch things like midway because I feel like I need to watch it from beginning to end."
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So maybe that's something I'll binge this winter. Maybe people tell me great things about it, right? But I think I'm a little bit disillusioned because I heard the ending and I saw like everybody's response to the ending. And it's like, I feel like I'm going to be pissed off if I watch this and the ending's going to suck. So now I'm like, do I even really want to binge it? I'm not sure.
Yeah. But as far as, that's a really goddamn good that's a really good goddamn question.
Do you want me to tell you mine? That movie I cannot watch?
Go ahead.
I can never finish. I think you're going to be so surprised.
What?
Everybody gasps when I say this.
Go ahead.
The Matrix.
Okay, that's a little bit of shock. I love The Matrix. I do. But
I cannot watch it. That's a movie I will put on because I want to watch it because I hear, the whole thing, the pill, red pill, blue pill, the whole thing. And then just kind of how it relates. My teacher talks about it all the time, my yoga instructor. Like, she loves that movie. I know so many people who love this movie, right? And I'm like, I want to love it. I cannot stay awake watching it. I go to sleep every time. Okay.
You just actually helped me out, and I figured it out what movie I can't get through.
What is it?
The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I actually watched that.
I can't get into them.
I can't remember a lick of it.
Well, let me tell you how I know that I couldn't get through it. So I remember when it first came out in Blockbuster, and this is going way back in the day.
Blockbuster. I think I have my Blockbuster card somewhere.
I'm pretty sure we all do somewhere. I remember renting it, and me and my mom were watching it. And we fell asleep like around the 45-minute mark. And we still had a couple of days until we returned. So I tried watching it again, fell asleep at the exact same part that I fell asleep the first time around. And I was like, nope, can't get to it.
That's exactly me with The Matrix.
Okay.
I just cannot get through it. And I'm just like, I gave up.
Yeah.
I gave up. I think I tried watching it 4 times. So I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I just couldn't do Lord of the Rings. So yeah, that's a really good question. I love the fact that you did your homework and you tried something original that I didn't even think of.
Yeah.
You know, especially me, the movie guy. So, you know, kudos to you for that.
Well,
you know,
because I listen. So you like movies. I want to tie it in. I would think
I appreciate that.
as a guest and somebody say you're hosted research on you and you're a movie person.
Right.
Like what's a question that you would resonate with?
Right. And you know what I love about it is that it's such a simple question that it never came to mind. Like, fuck, that is a really good question. And that should be just, I should be able to answer it right off the top of my head.
Because it's so easy to answer the movie that you like, right?
Right.
It's so easy, but it's just like, what can I not get through? And it's not like you
Right.
just, it's not that you have an aversion to it. You just can't.
Yeah. No, listen, not everything is for everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, this is a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode of the First Class, Second Place podcast.
Yeah. I was like, are you going to wrap it up or am I going to wrap it up?
I'm going to let you wrap
You're
it
going to
up.
let me wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being so gracious and allowing me to be your guest host today. Jason, thank you so much. One more time. I just got to sneak that in, right? This concludes the episode of First Class, Second Place podcast. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about your host, Jason. We had to put him in the hot seat. So I really enjoyed it. So take care, everybody. We are out.
Thank you.